Today's commercial vehicles have an array of technology built into them to ensure that anyone operating them can do so safely. One of those technologies is Continental's state-of-the-art ContiPressureCheck system, or CPC for short. It continuously measures the pressure and the temperature of all tyres on a vehicle. Now, by doing so, it not only optimises fuel and tyre life, which of course is fantastic, but more importantly, it also significantly reduces the risk to the driver and those around them whilst their vehicle is out on the road. How it does this is by giving drivers automated warnings whenever there's a potential problem with one of their tyres. Now that allows customers to be proactive with their fleet, and it gives them the confidence that their vehicle tyres run safely at all times.
Since installing the CPC system, we have noticed a huge decline in the amount of roadside blowouts and punctures, as we're able to detect these things a lot sooner, maybe before the vehicle leaves the yard, and it has significantly reduced the amount of blowouts down into single figures. With the CPC, it's another aid for the driver to keep the vehicle safe. You know that the technology is working to your best advantage, so that the vehicle can be as safe as it possibly can be. With the Conti CPC, the data is fed pretty much real time. So as soon as one of the sensors in the wheel detects a problem, it sounds both the audible and the visual warning on the display in the cab of the vehicle. So yeah, it's pretty much instantaneous.
Before we had the CPC installed, we could have been driving with low pressure tyres, not knowing they were low pressures. Now it's fitted now, it's on the screen, and you can basically see what the tyre pressures are. Personally, I feel a lot safer with the CPC system in place. Since we've had the CPC, we've gone on to win numerous awards, which I know Cemex are really proud of, because they are very safety conscious. But personally, I can recommend the CPC as from a driver's point of view. Being able to see it physically on a TV screen, knowing what tyre, what pressure, makes a hell of a lot of difference.
The CPC system has turned out to be a great system. It saved us money in terms of downtime, and also it significantly improved road safety. If we go back pre-CPC, what did we have? We had 20 plus blowouts a year, and that was a common occurrence every single year, year in, year out. Since then, we've virtually eliminated on-road blowouts, apart from very, very rare ones where you get catastrophic failure because the vehicle's hit some metal or something like that on the road. But it's a great system. It's proved itself in terms of cost effectiveness, and certainly the feedback we had from the drivers has been very, very good.
In this training session, we'll give you an overview of the ContiPressureCheck system, how it's used in practice, and the procedures to follow if the system identifies an issue. You'll also be able to find the necessary tyre inflation pressure information on this, a Conti 360 sticker, and you'll find this sticker at the rear of the cab, invariably on the near side. For trailers, you can find the same information on the near side of the chassis by the trailer's MOT plate. At the end of each section, there'll be a multiple choice questionnaire to test your knowledge, and you'll be awarded a certificate if you answer all the questions correctly. However, if you're unsure in any way about any of the content that follows, please ask your supervisor for help, because without understanding, there can be no learning. The CPC system measures the tyre's pressure and temperature using sensors fitted in each tyre on a vehicle. These tyre sensors should be considered as an integral part of the vehicle and are held in a rubber container that's attached to the inner tyre surface below the tread. Each sensor can be removed and refitted to a new tyre if needed, and they have a battery life of up to 6 years. If for any reason the sensor can't be refitted at the roadside, it must be returned to the service provider depot centre. The sensors wirelessly transmit vital tyre information to the Central Control Unit, or CCU, and that's mounted in the middle of the chassis. For longer vehicles or tractor units, a second receiver is placed at the furthest point on the rear cross member to extend the reach if needed. On a rigid vehicle, the secondary receiver is located between the drive axles. The CCU is connected to a display which is fitted in the cab to show all tyre pressure and temperature information. The CPC should already be fully installed by an installation specialist, so you don't need to make any adjustments. The display must never be covered or obscured in any way, as naturally this could prevent alerts from being seen or heard. Depending on the vehicle being driven, there are two modes of CPC configuration: married and automatic trailer learning, or ATL. The married configuration applies to when there is a dedicated tractor-trailer combination that are never split. This means that the CCU only picks up sensor signals from the sensors on this particular vehicle. In order to change the system, you'd have to reconfigure it. However, with automatic trailer learning, or ATL, the system works somewhat differently. ATL allows a tractor to couple up with any trailer. This is because ATL immediately picks up the signals from the CPC sensors on the trailer. And to activate the system, the trailer needs to move forward just a short distance, because up until that point, the batteries in the CPC sensors are in sleep mode to conserve energy. As soon as the trailer starts to move, the system starts to work. The system does this by sending out a signal ranging up to a 30-meter radius. This signal will reactivate any sensors that are currently inactive in order to conserve battery life and pick any alerts from tyre sensors instantly. This is a valuable feature for tractor units and transient trailers where the CPC alerts the driver to problems without the need for recalibration. But do remember this important point. In ATL, the system doesn't know the position of the sensors on the trailer. The CPC system may also initially display an alert relative to a neighbouring vehicle. If that's the case, you need to be aware that this could be a signal from a nearby drive axle tyre, which could have a target pressure lower than that of the trailer tyres requirement on your vehicle. For example, a nearby tyre could have a correct pressure of 90 psi. However, this could be below the target pressure that the CPC system on your vehicle is actually looking for. If this is the case, the adjacent vehicle must be removed from the pack at least 30 metres away to ensure that only the intended tyre signals from the vehicle are being received. However, if any warnings are displayed specifically to the vehicle, remove it from operation and contact the driver supervisor so a service provider can attend. In ATL mode, the CPC can show up to 4 warnings at once at the bottom of the in-cab display screen, which relate to the trailer attached to the tractor unit. If there are more than 4 warnings, you can use the arrow key on the display unit to view them all in priority order. However, to ensure the CPC does what it needs to do, you must remember that vehicles must not travel in convoy when setting off from the depot. This is because the vehicle could receive signals from additional sensors fitted in neighbouring vehicles. There are 4 main and critical tyre-related faults that the CPC will detect: fast pressure loss, very low pressure, high temperature, and system faults such as no signal being picked up. There are other alerts, however, and the system will display these in priority order so the driver can follow the correct procedure. The CPC system will give a low pressure alert if the tyre pressure falls below 90% of the target pressure. Remember, if a hot or warm tyre is checked with a pressure gauge and adjusted, this could result in the tyre pressure being below the 90% alarm threshold after it's cooled down. This is because the air in the tyre contracts when it cools down. So always make sure that if you manually check and adjust any tyre pressures, they're done at ambient temperature. Well, that's the end of this section. Now, I know there's a lot of information, but it's something you do get used to quite quickly. However, if you're unsure about anything in this section, please don't hesitate to ask your supervisor for more explanation. It's better to know than to be unsure.